Hey there and welcome on back. As always, I'm Carl with Target's Attitude, absent-minded professor of knives and all things sharp. So I'm back, grab some pens and paper. Class is about to begin. Today, we're looking at a newer knife from Ruike, the M195 frame lock. Yes, the M195 frame lock. Beta Plus, to be exact. It's a new one from Ruike, and it's kind of interesting. Bit of a twist from their usual. But before we get into the knife itself, let's get the syllabus work out of the way, shall we? If you're new, welcome. We do mainly knife reviews. Occasionally, here on Fridays, we'll do a review of some piece of camping equipment, compasses, cooking gear, flashlights, that sort of thing. But mainly knives. Then on Mondays, we do knife basics, what you really need to know. These are the things that people new to the knife world might not quite understand or notice. Things about what handle scales are and what they're made of, what we mean when we talk about a Scandi grind, what partially serrated means, these sorts of things. Basically, to help you get up to speed so that when you're at a knife show or knife store, you're not going, okay. You'll actually know what they're talking about. For those of you who have been with us for a while, welcome back. I'm glad to see you again. Just got one question for you. And yes, it's the same one I ask every week. Have you subscribed yet? Oh, come on, man. It's so simple, I shouldn't even have to tell you how. I mean, all you do is hit that button right down there that says subscribe. Then you hit the bell next to it. That way you get notified every time I put up a new video. And as I keep telling you, it's a win-win situation. Win for you because you don't miss any of the neat new videos I do. Win for me because, well, the more subscribers I have, the easier it is to get all these neat new things. But enough of that. Let's get on to the knife, shall we? Let's say it's a little different. One thing comes in this rather neat little pouch. It's got molle strapping on the back, or you can set it up to attach to your belt, whichever you'd like. Opens nicely. And the knife itself is a big knife. I mean, that's 4 1/4 inches closed. It's got a 3 1/4 inch blade. And the blade does not have a flipper on it. It's strictly open by thumb hold. But as you can see, it's not bad. It's smooth enough that you can flip it if you want. There's a partially serrated edge as well, which is not very usual for Ruike. They don't make many of these. And what's even more interesting is that while the blade is D2 and this handle is G10 over good metal, they include a glass breaker and a seatbelt cutter. You don't see those on higher end knives very often. And there is a reason for it. I mean, okay, with as much heft as this knife has, I mean, it's over a ½ pound in shipping weight. It's going to give you a lot of force when you go to strike a window to break it. With a lighter knife, using just your arm as a fulcrum, it's very difficult to get enough force to actually break a windshield. You're better off buying an emergency hammer that's going to give you that little extra oomph, just like the handle on a regular hammer gives you that little extra oomph when you're trying to hammer in a nail. But this one at ½ pound had the possibility to possibly do it. And that seatbelt cutter is kind of interesting. Again, most of the time, I mean, as a paramedic, I never worried about a seatbelt cutter, but that was why all my knives were partially serrated, so that I could cut seatbelts and ropes. But even though it's not something we normally see, if it's on the knife, we need to test it, right? Sure do. Well, got a piece of strap here. It's tied down where the mechanism is broken, but it's made of the same material as seatbelts, even if it's not quite the same width. Let's see how it cuts, shall we? Well, that was quick and easy and very smooth. I couldn't ask for better on that. So that's nice. So we now know the seatbelt cutter works. How about the rest of it? As I say, it's a big knife, nice pocket clip, and you can reverse it, but you're stuck with tip up carry. You can't get tipped down though, sorry to say. It's a frame lock with a decent lock, and it's got one of Ruike's patented beta locks on it, which once you push that, you cannot unlock the knife. It's just not going to happen. Bring it back, and it unlocks nicely. As I said, the blade is D2 tool steel instead of the 14C28N that Ruike is famous for using. Let's see how it works, shall we? Start with a piece of scratch paper. I only need one, not a whole bunch. Yeah, I'm still working with my left hand here. It's just separating one piece of paper out of a batch is a little difficult. Now, go ahead and we'll start with the serrated section and it's just very sweet. Handles that beautifully. And it's here, piece of cardboard. Right through. Ah, good. I was able to actually hold the cardboard. Did that all right. Let's see how it does this way. The serrated part is beautiful. So is the straight edge section. I mean, it's cutting it. I just going too fast. Oops, that almost slipped out of my hand. To avoid having to get those vice grips out again, I think I better stop on that. But it did nicely. Let's see here. What would be next? Next, well, let's go ahead with the Paracord. And since partially serrated there is what is recommended for cutting cordage of all types, including ropes, straps, and the like, let's... Man, I didn't even feel that. Let's see how plain part mount. Okay, so it takes more on the plain part than the serrated part, that's for sure. Tiny little chip here, and okay, my left hand is failing me again, so we'll get out the vice grips. Yeah, come on, hold on, you. There we go. There we go. There. Let's see how this tiny loop does. Yeah. A little bit of work, but right through nicely. Very nicely. Sounds like my sun is up. May have to cut this a little short, but we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Next thing. Oh yeah. Gold Peak iced tea bottle to see how it handles hang packaging. Let's see here. Just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Wills is doing okay, just a little loud when he first gets up sometime. Let's see how this does on hang packaging, shall we? A little big for opening hang packages, but tip goes in nicely. Okay. As thick as it is, it's hanging up a little bit, which is a shame. Let's see how the serrated part does. The serrated part actually does a little bit better. Okay. So not quite as nice as I had hoped, but you know, for a thick blade like that, there's no shame to get hung up in that tough package. Let's see here. Yes. Zip ties next. Let's see how it handles zip ties. Again, with that partially serrated area, went right through, no problem. How about the strap cutter section? That cut it too, beautifully. So we're definitely batting 1,000 that way so far. Let's see how we do with the heavy gauge leather. Not that I got much of it left. I'm going to have to buy some more here soon. Of course, I keep saying that, and I never do, but you know. And having trouble hanging on to it. So I guess we get these back out again. There we go. Now that I can hold on to it. Okay, the serrated part, not so great, but then again, it's not really designed for cutting leather. The plain blade is cutting it quite nicely, as you can see. So, wouldn't recommend it as a skinning knife, but if you wanted to use it as a survival knife, it would do the trick, that's for sure. So, let's see here. Wood. Here we go. And a piece of wood for my shop. I want to start. Let's see how the glass breaker does. Not bad. Again. Putting a nice little dent in it. That's for sure. Let's see how it does on smoothing the wood out. Yeah, moving out nicely. Almost as good as wood rasp for that. Let's see how it does with this little tab right here. Now the serrated part is doing great. And just to further drive home, very nice. Of course, I got sawdust all over myself and the table here. Now let's see. Where did I put the glove? There's the glove. Even more than the fact that it would be inadvisable with, in case my hand slipped, the fact that my left hand is a little numb means I can't feel the strikes the way I normally would. So definitely need to have a glove on for this. Let's see here. Not bad. Of course, I'm putting it pretty far out from the pivot point, just putting even more stress on the knife than I normally would. But I'm trying to test the... Don't normally baton with serrated edges, but let's go ahead and give it a try. See what happens there. Well, there you go. It lit pretty nicely. 1, 2. So I guess we can discount the bit about not batoning with those serrated edges, because that sure worked. That sure worked beautifully. Sorry, small splinter in my thumb here. Okay, but that worked. And let's see here. I'm not even seeing anything but sawdust on there, not even shiny marks. Wipe the sawdust off, and very sweet. Let's see if it came to any damage. I wouldn't expect it to. Not D2 and not made by Ruike, but let's see. Yeah. Even the serrated part. Gorgeous. Very, very sweet. So there you have it. The M195 Beta from Ruike. As you can see, D2 steel. And it's just... I'm not sure why they put jimping way up there. You can't use it without putting your fingers on the serration. Nice jimping there as well. Nice jimping on the back. Even back here. I wonder. Let's see something here. Yeah. Jimping on the blade is actually, that extra jimping on the blade is actually perfect for a hammer grip on it to make use of the black glass breaker. So now I know why they put the jimping on there on the hand or on the blade the way that it is. And why they've got the extra jimping on the back. Also makes it much nicer and easier to grip for using the seatbelt cutter. So, interesting knife. I'd still rather have an emergency hammer for breaking glass. This one is definitely heavy enough that it'll give you that little extra oomph you'd need. Seatbelt cutter is working beautifully. So, even though the serrated edge on your knife would do for that just fine, you've got the little extra for it. And of course, with the case, it can, and the molle strapping can put it on your tack vest or anywhere else, making it easy to get to. It's a little bit more expensive than some of the other Ruikes. This has a minimum advertised price of $99.95. So that's what I'm pricing it at on my website, but I don't know. With workmanship and craftsmen that went into this, I think it's probably worth it. What do you think? In the meantime, I gotta get running here. Need to get my son some breakfast before he gets too hungry and starts going after it himself. Admittedly, he can get it himself, but, you know, autism, I just soon be there. In the meantime, remember, maybe ability that decides what you can do. Maybe motivation that decides what you will do. But it's attitude that decides how well you do it. So if you're going to do anything, no matter how minor, even if it's just getting breakfast for your son, do it with attitude. Catch you later. Hope you enjoy some of these videos over here. And don't forget, you can hit that target there to subscribe. And we'll see you next week. Bye now.